Hey there, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Ask Dr. Jack Show. I am, of course, your host, Dr. Jack Belitz, here to answer the questions that you ask. Okay, first of all, let's get this out of the way. I am not here trying to give medical advice to anybody. I am merely here giving you information that you could very easily get on your own. I'm just compiling it for you, and that way you have the information you need to make decisions that are best for you and your family. Okay, with that, ask yourself this question. How important do you think the flu vaccine is for you, and how important do you think it is that everybody should have it? All right, got that answer? If you are one of those people that thinks it is so important, I've got some really bad news for you today. In an article that was recently published, like 2 months ago, in the British Medical Journal, one of the most prestigious medical journals in the world, their conclusion to this study was, and I'm going to read this right here for you. There is insufficient evidence to support the claim that mandatory flu vaccinations in healthcare workers has any positive effect. How amazing is that news? Finally, people that are not excited about vaccines have actually got a really great study that they can show maybe this doesn't need to be happening. I'm excited. Now, that's not the only bad news for vaccine lovers. In that same journal, in that same volume actually, another study was pointed out in a letter saying that the risk of dying or suffering permanent injury from measles in the United States was really small, even before the vaccine was introduced. So this is all about vaccines, all right? So back in the late 1950s, early 1960s, there was no measles vaccination. Your chance of getting a bad problem from measles was 1 in 10,000 of the things that were published. That's already a pretty low number. But here's something even more. They found that in that time, 90% of the measles cases were not even reported because they were so insignificant. It was just a little tiny thing, so why even bother reporting the thing? So what that means was, back then, your statistics of having any major problem with getting the measles was 1 in 100,000 cases. So cases of measles. Very, very low number because not very many people get the measles in the first place. So let's take a look at the chances of having a bad experience after getting the vaccination. All right. In 2004, there was a study published in the American Medical Journal, and it said that you have a risk of a problem that was 1 in 640. All right? That's pretty significant. So do the math. That's 5 times greater risk of getting a problem if you take the vaccine versus if you don't. This was followed up years later in 2007. An epidemiological study found almost the same percentage. Looking at these are the problems that when kids had a seizure after getting the accident, if it actually turned into full-blown epilepsy. All right, same percentage differences. It was better to get it. It was less likely if you actually got the disease than if you took the vaccination. So, again, I'm not here trying to give you medical advice, but you really got to think about these numbers before you decide to expose yourself or anybody in your family to these type of problems. If you are interested in the flu statistics and you still want some help, we've got some amazing help for that. If you've got a child who you're worried about the measles, make sure their immune system is working. Get them adjusted early and often in life. We get kids in 3 or 4 days old and get them adjusted so they get an early start and stay healthy. Anyway, that's it for this episode of the Ask Dr. Jack Show. If this is interesting to you, please call the office, 402-333-4848. If you mention this newsletter, we will give you an examination at no charge for you and any of your family members. I hope you have a very happy and healthy day, and I can't wait to see you on the next episode of the Ask Dr. Jack Show!